Okay.
What is good, everybody? It is your boy Super Saiyan Cab back with another DLC 7 video regarding the free update and the skill update that we are going to be getting. Now, earlier I just made a video literally just showcasing each and every single skill that got updated and reading the descriptions for you guys. Didn't really go into in-depth thoughts on some of these skills, the skills that I really popped out to me as far as their updates and things along those lines. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video right here. Now, one thing I also want to say before we get this started, guys, remember Sub Saturday this week is going to be the worst experience / ass whooping ever against a modder. Be sure to send those clips to the email down below in the description for a chance to get into Sub Saturday. But jumping into this, talking about these skills, guys, there's a lot of skills that got updated. We literally had 131 skills updated. So we're going to talk about some skills that are general based, like the beam skills that all have, for the most part, a very similar patch done to them, a very similar update. And we're also then going to talk about like 20 skills that I feel that, like I said, popped out to me as far as their changes and things like that. So the first thing I want to talk about is the beam attacks, guys. Basically, all beam attacks had that increased speed of ki blast and made enemy easier to hit after attack connects. Basically, every ki blast in this game, or ki beam, got a similar balance patch done to it, just like that for Kamehameha. This was one that literally is going to be great because now when you play online, you should be able to land Kamehamehas, times 10 Kamehamehas, Galligans, all beam attacks like that. You should now be able to land them off of knockaway attacks, and hopefully they no longer drop. I believe that is the point of it saying, and made enemy easier to hit after attack connects, because usually when you use these moves off of knockaways, that first little hit of Kamehameha will land and then they'll just drop right out of it or something along those lines. So again, that is very dope. I'm really glad that they're doing that with all the beam moves, and that was just a very general update that a lot of skills got with this patch. Now, getting into the single skills that we're going to talk about individually, guys, the first one I want to talk about is Riot Javelin. Riot Javelin was already doing some insane damage before when you were near death, and now it's increased even more. Like, the damage is just going to be off the charts. I believe you could probably almost do a bar, if not more, already when your damage was near death. But now with this move, I just can imagine, like, are you going to be able to get almost to a bar and a half depending on your build? And they also increased the speed of the ki blast, which is very necessary because Riot Javelin was fairly slow once you actually threw it. So that is very dope, and Riot Javelin is looking like it's going to be a pretty crazy move for sure. Now, the next move I want to talk about is times 10 Kamehameha. This one had the increased speed of beam and all that, but it also got an increased damage of charged beam. Now, that I'm really curious about. Does it mean it's only increased damage for the fully charged version, or any charge variation? Does any charge variation have that extra damage boost from this patch, or again, is it just that final version? But either way, this move definitely became a lot better, especially if each and every single stage of charge gets an increase to its damage. Now, moving on, guys, the next move on this list is actually fairly down here. We have to move down a little bit, and it is Aura Slide, guys. Aura Slide is a move that only had a decreased damage of each hit. Some people were not very happy about this. Some people wanted the combo, well, most people wanted the combo extension of that move, you know, the infinite loop, to be taken away, but that was not the case. But I'm here to tell you guys right now that just the simple fact that they did do this with Aura Slide, it will have some difference. Now, it won't have the most like people were hoping for again, but it will make some changes to that move, and it will make it less appealing, even though people will probably still be using it. But at the same time, with all these other moves coming out and getting updated, you may see some people using other moves instead of Aura Slide, hopefully. Now, moving on to the next move on this list that I want to talk about, that is Divine Retribution. He has it as Divine, whatever the move is, Divine Judgment. It says change, so even after firing a blast, you can stop the move with an added input. The only divine move that has an added input is Retribution. So basically what I'm getting from this is with divine Retribution, you should be able to fire the blast, hit your opponent, and still hit the extra additional input to maybe hit him with the sword as well afterwards. If that is the case, divine Retribution is definitely gonna be an absolutely dope move, like one of my favorite moves, especially for strike characters, if that is the case, because again, not only will you be able to hit him with the blast, but then with the sword right afterwards, either forcing them to use stamina, because a lot of people will, or they're going to take some massive damage between the combo of those two if they do not. So definitely like that right there with divine Retribution. But moving on, the next skill I want to talk about is one that is fairly disrespectful, and I'm glad it is getting a patch, and that is Petrifying Spit. Y'all know me. Y'all know how I feel about these disrespectful moves. So Petrifying Spit getting an update to it and getting that increased time for petrification is absolutely dope, because before it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was fairly fast as far as how long they were actually petrified in that state. So the fact that they're increasing that time is absolutely dope. Now the next move is also from Deborah, and I just don't understand this. Evil Blast, it had an increase to its damage. That's not the issue with the move. The move did fine damage. I believe it did like 10k damage on my Ki Blast CAC. But at the same time, the issue with this move is the simple fact that you can block it and just sidestep it if you do get caught in it. So it's still going to be completely useless. Even though it did get a damage boost added to it, it still will not be a move that you see used very much, just because you can still block it and get out. Now moving on to the next couple moves, they actually both come from Vegeta, and the first one I'm talking about is Atomic Blast. It increased the damage if fired from the ground and increased ease of firing for max damage. So basically Atomic Blast did get a bit better. Hopefully when it says increased ease of firing for max damage, maybe they also made it a bit quicker to get to that mid charge to get that max damage out of it. Who knows, but I'm glad that they gave some kind of update to this move. I will definitely check it out when the patch comes later on tonight right away. But moving on, the next move on this list that we're going to talk about is Earth Splitting Galligan, because this is a move that literally was part of the first skill test ever against Kaioken Kamehameha, and Kaioken Kamehameha has always been one of my favorite key supers in the game because of the damage output, the way you can use it. It's a very good move in my opinion, and Earth Splitting Galligan is very similar. It just did a little bit less damage. But now, as you see, it got increased speed of beam, increased hit connectivity to opponent after blast connects like all the other ones did, and then also increased damage. So Earth Splitting Galligan may be a better move than Kaioken Kamehameha, and honestly we may have to do a redone version of a skill test of that, because they both got updated in this patch. So Earth Splitting Galligan is definitely looking like it's going to be a nice move, and may even be better than Kaioken Kamehameha with this update. Now the next move I want to talk about is one that it's the only one getting an update like this, and it's fairly weird to me, but that is Mach Punch. It said made easier to connect an ultimate attack after. So basically I don't know if that means like as far as stamina break or not, but if you are able to connect ultimates fairly easy after Mach Punch now with this update without a stamina break, that kind of wouldn't make sense, but maybe it's some kind of mistranslation, who knows, but that really just popped out to me when I was reading it earlier. But moving on, guys, the next moves on this list really come from Frieza. The main one I want to talk about is Crazy Finger Shot, but at the same time I just want to take a look at how many moves Frieza is truly getting updated right here, and this is just this part of the list. This is not the ultimates or anything like that, but he almost called him a sheep. He is getting Emperor Sign, Death Cycle Bomb, Death Crusher, Death Slicer, Death Psycho Combo, and Crazy Finger Shot. All are getting updates. Frieza may be an absolute monster as far as his moves go after this patch comes through. But Crazy Finger Shot is the one that I really wanted to take a look at, because this one is a move that already did some insane damage. Now it has a boost to its damage as well, and it makes your opponent stagger after a hit. Now my question is, it says after a hit, so does that mean you can only use the Crazy Finger Shot one time as far as making them stagger, or will they stagger if you use it multiple shots, just don't fully use it all the way? That's something I'm real curious about with that. But Crazy Finger Shot, guys, looking absolutely insane when it comes to this update that we will be getting fairly soon. Now the next move I want to talk about, guys, is a move that really didn't need a buff in my opinion. It was already a move that was fairly good and people used / spammed it quite a bit already as well, and that is Ill Bomber. Ill Bomber got an increase to damage, which that part I really don't mind at all. But then it says it's also made so it cancels guard. So basically you can no longer block this move. If you see it go up in the air, you just have to absolutely dodge the whole time to make sure that you don't get hit from it. Again, you can no longer block it. And then it says it has priority from moment of use till it disappears. Made time you stop shorter. So I don't know what that exactly means for the most part, but basically it has more priority now. And the time it disappears is shorter. The time until it disappears is shorter. So then that's actually a good little counter to it. The fact that they buffed it in a way, but at the same time they made it disappear a bit quicker. That's actually a good counter to that move. Now, moving on this list, guys, the next move I want to talk about is Big Bang Kamehameha. This is one that nobody expected to get buffed in any kind of way possible, but this got buffed in really two ways. Now, first buff was really it decreased the necessary amount of time needed to charge before the beam can be fired. So basically it made the charge up faster, which is crazy, and then increased the maximum amount of time beam can be charged. So basically they didn't just add extra charges, they added extra levels of power with these charges. I don't know if everybody picked up on that when they first saw it, but that's what first came to my mind. If you add additional charges to this move, that means there are higher stages of damage also being added as well. And Big Bang Kamehameha can already do almost like 6k 7k damage on the right build. Now it depending on how much extra charge it gets, who knows, it might even be able to reach 10k, and it has a faster charge up. So Big Bang Kamehameha is looking absolutely crazy, and definitely looking like a move that you may people see using regularly and in more situations due to that speed increase. Now, moving on with the list, guys, this is the last super attack that I want to talk about before we go into the ultimates, and that is Sudden Storm. Sudden Storm is one move that I really wanted to have an update to, especially when it came to its damage, because for 2 bars it really did not do service to the for the amount of damage. Like, you got like 1.7k 1.8k. Is that really worth 2 bars of key? It's not at all. Yes, the tracking is absolutely amazing, but again, the damage was absolutely not worth it, and they updated this move, giving it that increase to damage, which is absolutely dope. Now, the next one that I want to talk about is Dragon Fist, because this one is one that a lot of people have issue with, but at the same time, one of you guys left a comment that really made me think like maybe they did this for good reasoning. Maybe they made Dragon Fist unvanishable for good reasoning, for the simple fact that you would always waste your stamina. Some people would end up wasting stamina while pressing that X button and would not get out of the move, and they would still end up wasting 2 bars. So on that side, it is good, but at the same time, this is the #1 thing that people had issue with when it came to Dragon Fist, was the fact that you couldn't get out of it once you got stuck in it. Whether it is an evasive, using your stamina, anything along those lines, you could not do when it comes to Dragon Fist, and now you definitely cannot do those things. So you are probably going to see this move used a lot during stamina breaks, especially at the end, if their opponent, if the person using its opponent is not dead yet and they still have a Dragon Fist waiting. I guarantee you they will be using it at the end of stamina break, so you cannot get out of it once you are in it. So honestly, that's a major issue for me. It's kind of understandable, like I said, so where it does not make you waste stamina anymore out of that move, but at the same time, just absolute nonsense, the simple fact that this move is completely unvanishable now if it does land. But moving on, guys, the next move I want to talk about is Super Spirit Bomb. This one really had me scratching my head, guys. Like, Super Spirit Bomb absolutely makes no sense. It says take damage during the charge up. You take health damage, not stamina drain. So basically, what I'm getting from this is that either the charge up is going to cost your health, or from now on you don't have super guard when using this move, or you have super guard but it doesn't affect your stamina, it affects your actual health bar. And if that is the case, that's not really much of an update to it. What people really wanted to see with this move was a faster launch time because of how slow it was. If you're playing anybody that's smart, no matter what kind of stamina break you do against them, yes, their stamina will still be broken when you launch it, but at the same time, they will be able to just snap vanish off to the side and things like that just to get away. So Super Spirit Bomb was a move that a lot of people wanted to see a speed boost come to, and what we got is the furthest thing from that, and could mean two different things. I don't know for sure. But moving on with the next move, guys, on this list is one that honestly got no love in this game, but may get some now, and that is Scattering Kamehameha. This one not only got an increase to damage, but it made it so the Ki Blasts are easier to hit with. So it may have some kind of tracking that was added to it, to where if you hit them off of a knockaway or knockdown or something like that, all the Ki Blasts will track to your enemy. That's what I'm hoping. That would be absolutely dope, because then you might actually see Scattering Kamehameha being used online, which you probably have never seen, period, on Xenoverse 2. So that is definitely dope. I am glad that they are doing that. The next move that I want to talk about is Time Skip Molotov, though, guys. Time Skip Molotov, in my opinion, definitely needed that buff, as I mentioned in that one video that I did talking about moves that needed a buff. And Time Skip Molotov was definitely there because of the simple fact that for a CAC, you're not even getting 5k damage for 5 bars a key. That's just absolute nonsense. And people are like, oh, well, you're just making hit that much more OP now. Really, when you think about it, what hit players use the Time Skip Molotov and use it in a sense that is really match changing at the same time? Like, most hit players just kill you with just constant combos, infinite loops, things of that nature. And the only time you really see a Time Skip Molotov if your stamina broken, don't have much health, or something along those lines, that's the only time you really see Time Skip Molotov used. But for the most part, again, they're going to abuse the loops and all that against you. So that doesn't really make that much of a change to hit. He's still absolutely OP, of course, but again, that will not affect him that much. That's just a good update for the CACs. Now, moving on this list, guys, the next move I want to talk about, or moves, are big Super Black Kamehameha and Super Rose Kamehameha. First off, with Super Black, it says that it made it so you cannot escape from the move part way. So basically now, if you get hit with this while you have stamina, you will have to use your evasive to get out of it. That honestly is kind of iffy to me. Really don't like that for the most part, because Super Black Kamehameha is a move that you can land literally mid combo. You can land this move if you replace where you would usually do a stamina break, for example with the male sands 5 light into the break. If you just do 5 light into the Super Black Kamehameha, it'll perfectly work every single time. It'll work the exact same way the stamina break lands each and every single time Super Black will, because Super Black is definitely a very fast move. So I do have issue with that. It's cool that they made it so you can't drop out of it, but at the same time, the fact is that you will most likely be seeing this move spammed a lot when people do not have their stamina broke or anything of that nature, either to bait out your stamina, or it's just some scrub thinking that you're actually going to take the damage. But Super Rose Kamehameha honestly got a pretty nice update with the damage buff. And then it says, the fact that it says made Ningens filthier, that was just absolutely funny. But it got a damage buff done to it, which it definitely deserved, because it did the same amount of damage as Super Black, but it costs 5 bars a key. That, what kind of nonsense is that? How does a 3-bar key move cost 5 bars at the same, like do the same as a 5-bar, when they are basically the same, just a recolored? So I'm glad that the Super Rose Kamehameha finally got a damage buff, so it is the superior one, at least as far as damage goes, between the two. Now, the next move on this list, guys, that I wanted to talk about, one that needed the update literally the day it was thought of, and that is God of Destruction's Menace. God of Destruction's Menace finally got an increase to its damage and made easier to consecutive hits. So basically, it's going to be easier to land consecutive hits with this move as well now. So hopefully this move is at least as good as Spirit Ball with this upcoming update, because it was absolutely trash before, guys. Literally probably the worst ultimate in the game. Hopefully that is no longer the case when it comes to that move, especially since it was DLC. But moving on with the list, we only have a couple more moves left on my list, guys, and the next one up is not Super Galligan, it is what's it called, Brave Sword Attack. I got a little bit ahead of myself, but Brave Sword Attack, it has an increase to damage and easier to hit with. Honestly, I was fine with the damage before. It's absolutely one of my favorite moves in the game, just due to the disrespect factor. And again, I was fine with the damage it already had, but now it's getting an increase to damage and it's easier to connect with as well. Like, what? This move is going to be absolutely dope. Cannot wait to see the actual changes, how it's easier to connect with, how much damage boost it actually got, because y'all know, again, I love disrespect, and one of the more disrespectful moves in the game right there without doubt. So cannot wait for that move to come with this update that is actually going to be out literally in hours by the time you guys see this video. Or it may be out if you see it the next day after. The free update will already be out. But moving on the list, guys, next attack I want to talk about is Blue Hurricane, because it got an increased range of its attack and it made it easier to hit multiple times. This is a Xenoverse 1 throwback right here, Xenoverse 1 favorite. I don't know if a lot of people will use it as much as they did in Xenoverse, because spamming in this game is not as viable as it was in Xenoverse 1, but I think that you will definitely see this move used a lot more because people love it that much and just get that nostalgia feeling from Xenoverse 1. Now moving on, guys, the last two moves I want to talk about. The first one is Spirit Sword. Spirit Sword got a major buff. The first part is now unblockable and it is impossible to counter out of, and made every hit easier to connect. That last part is the crucial one. That last part, the fact that that second slash is finally gonna have a better chance of connecting, is absolutely major for this, just for this move. Like I was absolutely hyped when I saw that the first hit or the last hit has a better chance of connecting. That was just absolutely amazing and a dope update in my opinion. Now the last move on this list that I want to talk about, guys, is Super Galligan. Super Galligan got an increased speed of hit confirm and decreased the time needed to charge. So now my question is, what other kind of uses will you be able to use Super Galligan at fully charged without using a heavy stamina break? Because as you guys know, before you would have to use that heavy stamina break just to be able to land Super Galligan fully charged, but now with the decreased time needed for it to charge and an increased speed of hit confirm, will you really need to use a heavy stamina break, or can you land it off a sledgehammer? Who knows? We will see when the game actually gets an update tonight, later on, literally hours away, like I said. But guys, those are all the moves that I really wanted to talk about in this list. I talked about probably like 25 in total, and then just the generalization of the beam attacks, that for the most part literally every beam attack had the same update. Some just got a damage boost as well, but again, for the most part they got the same patch done to them. Now, let me know what skills really popped out to you, because there are still plenty of more skills that I could have gone over, but as you guys probably see, we're at probably, I don't know how long we are into the video, but it's been quite a while since we started, because there are literally so many moves on this list. I could probably make like a 2-hour video if I went through each and every single one and broke them down, but that's not what we're gonna do. So let me know which skills you are really excited to see finally getting that update in Xenoverse 2, and which are you just the most hyped to actually use when this update comes out. But as always, man, thank you guys so much for watching. Really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time, I hope you have a good day. Peace, y'all.